Okay, it has finally come that we are going to start classifying sentences. We're going to take all the information that we've learned the last couple of days and put it together. So you should have in front of you a handout, and what I would like you to do is to complete the handout at the same time I am doing it for you on this video. And then when you come to class next time, we will have another worksheet that we'll actually do in class. You'll kind of do it on your own, but you will call upon this completed worksheet to help you out. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first sentence that you should have there is the sentence, boys sat. Now this is not a very good sentence. It's an incredibly simple sentence, but it is a sentence. It has a subject, it has a verb, it makes sense. It does begin with a capital letter, and there is an end mark. So this is a sentence. And what I love about Shurley grammar is she always starts off very, very simple. But I will warn you that very quickly it becomes more complex. So I really beg you to do this as I teach it now, and then you will have no problems in the next couple of weeks when things get a little bit more tricky. All right, so step number one is we actually read the sentence out loud. So the sentence reads, boys sat. And as you learned in the previous video, you always start with the subject question first. And so in this particular sentence, the subject question would be, who sat? And the answer is boys. And we will label that subject noun. And then always, the second question is going to be your verb question. And the verb question always starts off the same way every single time. And that is, what is being said about? And then you fill in the blank with the subject noun. So the verb question in sentence number one would be, what is being said about boys? And the answer would be, boys sat. And we label that as the verb. At this point, we have identified all the words in our sentence. And so we're going to come over here to this line. And what this line does is it helps you to identify the pattern sentence. Over the course of this year, we will be learning 5 different pattern sentences. But from now until probably the middle of October, we are going to be focusing on the pattern 1 sentence. And so the way the line is utilized is at the top of the line, we write the formula of the pattern sentence, and underneath we write which number pattern it is. So since this is going to be a pattern 1 sentence, the formula is subject, noun, verb. And we know that that is a pattern 1 sentence, and we abbreviate that with P1. Now, after we have identified the pattern sentence, we perform a check. And it's the word check, just like a check mark. And for right now, what we are checking for is we're checking to make sure that there is indeed a end mark, and we identify what type of sentence this is. So yes, there is a period, and we know that this sentence is making a statement. And what we've learned in the past week is that that is indeed a declarative sentence, and so we mark it as such at the end with the abbreviation of D for declarative. And now we're almost done. What we're going to do is we go back to the verb, and we draw a line in front of the verb. And what that does is that separates the subject from the predicate. And notice that I said draw a line in front of the verb. I didn't say draw a line after the subject noun, and that is a key piece of information that you want to make sure you follow. So we go back to the verb, we draw a line, and what that does is that separates our subject, which we underline once, from our predicate, which we underline twice. And that is how you classify a pattern 1 sentence. So let's move on. We're going to do a couple more very simple sentences. So sentence number 2 reads, candles burned. Now I'm going to try and do this one a bit faster so that you get the feel for the flow of the question-answer classification process. So the sentence reads, candles burned. Subject question is, what burned? And the answer is candles. Subject, noun. Verb question, what is being said about candles? And the answer, candles burned. Verb. We've identified all the words in the sentence, so we're going to come over to the line, and we're going to identify the formula as subject, noun, verb. And we know that is a pattern 1 sentence. And we're going to check that there is a period, This sentence does indeed make a statement again, so it is also a declarative sentence. We're going to go back to the verb and draw our diagonal line directly in front of it, which separates our subject from our predicate. One more time for good measure on the simple ones, and then we'll get a little bit more complex. This one I'm going to do smooth, no explanation, so that you really get a feel for how we're going to be doing this in class. Sentence number 3. Children shouted. Who shouted? Children. Subject, noun. What is being said about children? Children shouted. Verb. Subject, noun, verb, pattern 1. Check. Period. Makes a statement. Declarative sentence. Go back to the verb. Separate the complete subject from the complete predicate. There we go. I'm sure you have it. So let's move on to a little bit longer, more complicated sentences. Now, sentence number 4 looks like a real life sentence. It has several words. It's a little bit more interesting to read. And so we start off the same. We're going to read the sentence. The 4 little boys sat quietly. And always we start with the subject, noun, question first. It does not matter how many words come before the subject. Subject question is always first. And so the subject question is, who sat quietly? And the answer is boys. Subject, noun. And always, 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 the second question is going to be the verb question. And so that would be, what is being said about boys? And the answer is sat. Verb. Now, after we have identified the subject and the verb, what we're going to do is continue to classify the words until we get to the period, and then we backtrack. So the next word we come to is quietly, and we have to think about, okay, what question is quietly answering? And so the question would be sat how? And the answer is quietly, and you know from your jingles that how, when, and where are what kinds of questions? That's right, adverb questions. So we label quietly as an adverb. Okay, we've reached our period, so now we're going to backtrack. And the next word we come to is little. And again, you need to stop and think, okay, what question is little answering? And the question is, what kind of boys? And the answer to that question is little. And we know that what kind, which one, and how many are what kinds of questions? You are right, adjective questions. And so we're going to label little as an adjective. Next word we come to is for. Again, stop and think, what question is for answering? How many boys? And we know, of course, that how many is an adjective question. And then we come to the word the, which you have learned from past videos, that the, and a are just so common adjectives that we don't even have a question for them. They're article adjectives. We look at them and we instantly know it's an article, and so in Shurley grammar we just label that with an A. Okay, we've identified all of our words, and so we're going to identify that the pattern is, again, subject, noun, verb, pattern 1, check. There is a period. This is making a statement, so it is a declarative statement. We are going to go back to our verb. And now what we're going to do is we're going to separate the complete subject from the complete predicate, and hopefully this will be a review for you. But the complete subject is the subject and all the words associated with it. So in this sentence, our complete subject is the 4 little boys, which we are going to underline one time to identify that they are all subject words. And then the complete predicate is the verb and all the words that are associated with the verb. So in this sentence, it would be sat quietly, which again we're going to underline twice to identify that those words belong in the predicate. Okay, let's try a couple more, and then I think that's enough for today. Okay, sentence number 5. The red candles burned brightly. Subject question, what burned brightly? Candles. Subject, noun. What is being said about candles? Candles burned. Verb. Keep going towards your period. Burned. How? brightly, adverb. Okay, we've reached our period, so now we're going to backtrack, and the next word we come to is red. What kind of candles? Red, adjective. And the, we know, is an article adjective. Subject noun, verb, pattern 1, check, period, makes a statement, declarative sentence. Go back to our verb, separate the complete subject from the complete predicate. Good job. One more. Soft snow fell yesterday. What fell yesterday? Snow. Subject, noun. What is being said about snow? Snow fell. Verb. Fell when? Yesterday. And when is a adverb question. Backtrack. What kind of snow? Soft snow. Adjective. Subject noun. Verb. Pattern 1. Check. Period. Makes a statement. Declarative sentence. Go back to the verb. Separate the complete subject from the complete predicate. Okay, that is enough for today. You should have a very good understanding of how to classify these simple pattern 1 sentences. If you don't, feel free to watch the video again and bring in any questions that you may have, and I will answer those questions in class. In fact, that's the way we're going to start off the class, is I'm going to say, are there any questions? And I'll be happy to answer those. We will do a worksheet in class this time period, but just to let you know,